RFK Jr.'s big cross-examination for his appointment as Trump's Health and Human Services guy with $1 trillion budget, giant, one of the biggest government budgets there is. And Democrats are trying to give him trouble. We're having a few trouble with some Republicans too, but I wanted to give you guys the update on how well he's doing in this cross-examination and give you lots more facts than just that. I've learned all kinds of news today. Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel as we learn together. Here's RFK Jr.'s, one of his testimonies as he faces questions from these senators.
Make sure that Americans are aware. But I don't want to take food away from anybody. If you like a cheeseburger, a McDonald's cheeseburger, a Diet Coke, which my boss loves, and you should be able to get them. If you want to eat Hostess Twinkies, you should be able to do that. But you should know what the impacts are on your family and on your health.
That sounds great. I like the idea of a government not necessarily taking food away, but just informing you, the public, on what Twinkies and hamburgers do. And I love that little gag he did of my boss likes Diet Coke and McDonald's. He's talking about Donald Trump, which I think is hilarious. Now, this video dropped. This is a warning from RFK Jr., his running mate when he was running for president. It was Nicole Shanahan. This lady from California, she's a billionaire. I've come to really enjoy her and really like her voice. But she says here, like, RFK Jr., he plays nice. She goes, I don't play nice. I've got billions of dollars. And whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you vote against RFK Jr. as HHS secretary, I'm going to have you primaried and fund all of your opponents. This gal, I like.
Hey everyone, tomorrow is a pivotal moment in our nation's history. At 10 a.m. Eastern Time, RFK will sit in front of the Senate Finance Committee for his confirmation hearing to be our nation's next Secretary of Health and Human Services. I urge everyone to call their U.S. senators over the following days and demand they vote yes on Bobby's nomination. He is more than qualified. He's proven, principled, and prepared to lead. I'll share a list below of key senators. If they represent your state, they need to hear from you. If they don't, please call your own senator and ask them to vote yes. We need as many votes as we can get. So this hasn't been widely reported, but in 2020, I cut large checks to Chuck Schumer to help Democrats flip 2 Senate seats in Georgia from red to blue. The 2 candidates I helped elect, Senator Raphael Warnock and Senator Jon Ossoff, please know I will be watching your votes very closely. I will make it my personal mission that you lose your seats in the Senate if you vote against the future health of America's children.
That's a threat already to Warnock and Ossoff because she cut a check to Chuck Schumer to help Democrats. And now she's helping the Trump administration, because she's flipped now. And this is how you talk to a congressman. This is a language they understand, and she's fantastic.
And more than that, I also want to say to Senators Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Bill Cassidy, Tom Tillis, James Lankford, Cory Booker, John Fetterman, Bernie Sanders, and Catherine Cortez Masto, this is a bipartisan message, and it comes directly from me. While Bobby may be willing to play nice, I won't. If you vote against him, I will personally fund challengers to primary you in your next election, and I will enlist hundreds of thousands to join me. Big Pharma and Big Ag have exploited us for far too long. It ends now. You're either on the side of transparency and accountability, or you are standing in the way. The choice is yours. Please choose wisely.
Boom. That's how Dad did it. Take that. I like that threat too. With her money, facing primaries. That's Fetterman, and you heard, Lankford, he's a Republican. So we're going to hear from Lankford in the cross-examination of RFK Jr. on one of these clips. But this one is pretty disturbing. Okay, we have this clip from someone's Twitter of this is a journalist, so they're imbeciles, okay? And they're writing before the RFK Jr. hearing, and they already have their headline. I don't know if you can read this. but I'm going to show you what headline they wrote before they even cross-examine RFK Jr. It says RFK Jr. faces grilling on, quote, anti-vaccine, unquote, comments and animal, quote, mutilation because he supposedly killed bears and ate dogs and stuff like that. At confirmation hearing, Trump live updates. So they've already written their headline and their article before their negative headline. That's your media. They suck. Okay, now here's Lankford on the big issue is, RFK Jr. has been all over on abortion, okay, on all sides of the issue, and he clarifies it for us, which Lankford wants to know for his constituents. Remember, it was Mike Pence that said he couldn't support someone like who was a pro-choicer or whatever. And I agree. I do not like that choice at all. I might disagree with RFK Jr. on this position, including when he says here that he's going to follow what Trump wants. And I'm just saying, I want even more than that, but I would never vote down RFK Jr. Watch this.
I'm going to support President Trump's policies on Title X. I agree with President Trump that every abortion is a tragedy. I agree with him that we cannot be a moral nation if we have 1.2 million abortions a year. I agree with him that the states should control abortion. President Trump has told me that he wants to end late-term abortions, and he wants to protect conscious exemptions, and that he wants to end federal funding for abortions here or abroad. That's Title X. I serve at the pleasure of the president. I'm going to implement his policies.
Thank you.
And I agree with so much of him on that. He's saying conscientious objections, which is when a nurse or a doctor or a hospital says, we have a moral problem with abortion. They should not be forced by the government to conduct those. That's a great point of agreement on both Trump and RFK Jr. The other one is stopping that reversing Mexico City, which Trump continues that tradition of agreeing with Reagan, George Bush the first, George Bush the second, Trump's term, and then once again, Trump, every time they have to keep reversing Democrats on that. So we're not funding foreign abortions. I agree with that. And of course, if I'm against early term abortion, I'm automatically going to be against the late term one. So I'm all for abolishing those too. So I'm just saying we can find a lot of agreement and a lot of wins, even among our side where we have disagreement. And now The View. This will never be helpful, but it'll be funny in that we're going to laugh at them because they rolled out RFK Jr.'s sister or his cousin, some Kennedy, that said, do not vote for him, way to stab your family member in the back. Of course, this same Kennedy, she never said anything about the swimmer, Teddy Kennedy, when he drove, what's her name, Kopetnik or whatever her name is, off the Chappaquiddick Bridge. She drowned. He ran away like a coward. Probably committed murder. No, she never said anything about that. But RFK Jr., he crossed a line.
Now, this is what she doesn't say much. You don't see her out and do anything. No. She does not say boo. So I feel like if she felt the need to come out of her shell and
I feel like she probably has a book deal.
Say, look, this is not good. I hope they're going to listen, but RFK, of course, hasn't responded to her letter and is insisted that he's not anti-vaccine. But will all those allegations make one damn bit of difference?
I don't think so.
Well, I also think...
All right, next.
I don't think so.
Good, move on. All done, thankful, good. Yeah, won't do a dang bit of difference. Good. And here's another great cross-examination by, I think it's Daines, his last name is, Republican, on RFK Jr.'s credentials as a scientist.
I listened to your opening remarks, and you mentioned that you want to make HHS the gold standard of science. I have found my engagements with you, both behind closed doors in my office, as well as listening to you publicly, to be very thoughtful and science-based. I applaud that. I thank you for that. And I realize this will likely be a very partisan vote on this committee and on the Senate floor. But let the record state there are 3 medical doctors on this side of the dais. I'm a chemical engineer. We believe in science, I'm thankful that you do too, and you made that comment in your opening remarks.
And the reason why he's being heralded as so pro-science is because he's pro, including talks of vaccinations and stuff, that they need to do more double-blind medical trials on these things instead of rushing them out. That's all he's saying, is bring the science back. None of us should fear that. No Democrats should fear that, after Democrats have been barking about us being anti-science and them being pro-science. Are they going to support RFK Jr.? Not one. And then here's a clip from Breitbart on a certain abortion pill that I'm sure I'm not allowed to comment on, but I'm going to let Mr. Daines comment on it. And he's asking RFK Jr. if he'll ban it, to which he implies yes.
I want to shift gears for a moment. As we discussed in the meeting we had in my office, mifepristone was approved in 2000. The FDA has been under scrutiny and brought to court for failure to properly assess this drug, as well as subsequent deregulations Senator Langford described that have occurred over the past 25 years. Some of these deregulations included ending the requirement that these drugs be prescribed by a doctor, ending reporting requirements for adverse events, and allowing these pills to be obtained through the mail. In fact, the FDA's own prescribing label mentioned that 3 to 5% of women taking this drug end up in the emergency room. My question is, if confirmed as Secretary of HHS, will you commit to working with the FDA Commission to review these deregulatory actions that are threatening the safety of women?
Sorry, Senator. As I said to Senator Langford, I think it's immoral to have a policy where patients are not allowed to report adverse events and where doctors are discouraged from doing that. President Trump has asked me to study the safety of mifepristone. He has not yet taken a stand on how to regulate it. Whatever he does, I will implement those policies, and I will work with this committee, make those policies make sense.
So there you go. It's going to be a matter of trust. You know, he's going to follow Trump's lead, and I think that's a good idea, and we need to keep putting pressure on Trump. I'm a pro-lifer, to always remain pro-life and expand on his pro-lifiness. And frankly, anything that would have happened under Biden or Kamala would be a horror to anyone pro-life. Trump, as much as I disagree with him on certain things, I only know it would be a million times worse under Biden and Harris. So I'm still thankful for RFK Jr. and Trump. I'll take the win. What do you guys think in the comments below? Will RFK Jr. get through? Well, I'll give you any updates if I assume RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard are two tough ones to get through, possibly Kash Patel too. But RFK Jr., I think, is going to be the hardest because the Democrats want to control that $1 trillion budget at the HHS. I'm Doug in exile.